What's good YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Lars and Conditioning. The perfect rep range. Does it exist? Yes and no. The perfect rep range depends on the exercise that you are targeting. Compound movements like squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, things of that nature will overall benefit more from having a little bit lower repetitions because you will most likely be limited by your focus and your cardiovascular system. It's going to be difficult focus-wise if you're going to squat 15-20 reps. Your focus will falter, and when your focus falter, you are more likely to technical errors, and technical errors will lead to weird overcorrections and potentially lead to injuries that we don't want. We don't want injuries in the first place, but some injuries can be worse than others. And the moment you lose your focus and you slip out, that's where the injury will be worse versus when it's a more controlled, where you're going a little bit heavier. So more controlled, when an injury should happen, is likely less worse, whereas if you get an injury where it's loss of control. On isolation movements, it's a little bit different. If you are going a bit too heavy, let's say 3 to 5 repetitions on an isolation movement, one, you're just gonna look foolish. But let's take biceps curls as an example. If you have a weight that you can only do for 3 reps, it's going to be extremely difficult for you not to start swinging. Because when the weight is that heavy and you have it out in front of you here, as you accelerate up, you have to basically strain backwards, and then comes up, you're going to have to counter. And that becomes extremely difficult when the weight gets heavy. So when we're talking about isolation movements, no less than 6 reps. Even 6 reps on certain isolation movements like a lateral raise can be problematic. We don't want a lateral raise too heavy because your shoulders are strong and fragile at the same time. It depends on the position that you put them in. If you put them in a position where they're not super strong, then you're going to be fragile. And if you're going to put a heavy load, then you're more likely to get injured. I'm not saying that you will. I'm just saying you increases your possibility for an injury to happen. So something like a lateral raise, we would much prefer something between 10 to 20 repetitions, but we would not want to do that with a squat or deadlift or an overhead press or bench press. We don't want to do that there. With compound movements, it's a bit the opposite. We actually want to go towards the heavier side and be full focused and be explosive and be intent. Whereas with isolation movements, we want to move towards the lighter part. You will be less likely to cheat. Again, let's go back to the bicep curl. If you do a weight that you could do for 10 repetitions, your chances of starting to swing is not that great. So you will actually be able to control it and then fully hammering your bicep, versus if you're trying to do a bicep curl for 3 or 4 reps, you're just going to cheat. It's almost inevitable. You should just not do it. So practical application in terms of repetitions performed. When we're talking compound movements and you're not a strength athlete, if you're a strength athlete, it's going to be a little bit different. But I would say 4 to 7 reps on compound movements. It's going to be heavy enough and short enough that it's not going to be your focus and your cardiovascular system that's going to limit you in this. And whereas with isolation movements, would actually have basically start from 7 and up, because then you're not likely to cheat. You're much less likely to cheat when the load is a moderate to light load that you can actually fully control. So this will be the reason why that you should do this. The perfect rep range depends on the exercise that you pick. Now, if you are a strength athlete or an aspiring strength athlete, then you have great value from practicing singles and doubles and triples on your compound movements. However, on the flip side, on your smaller movements, isolation movements, or even a regular seated row, you will have great benefit from doing a bit higher repetition work as well. You don't need to go ultra heavy at all times, no matter if you're a strength athlete or a sparring strength athlete, or you just want to, flex on your friends. So follow this and then you'll be great. Thanks for watching.